Morning. Mark
Morning.
Rifle Inspire. Morning, Liz. Thanks so much for
Morning.
jumping on, and really appreciate how long this has taken to get together. And I think people are going to realise very soon, why that is. The work that you do tirelessly within the community and in all different areas of your life is absolutely inspirational, to be honest. So I'm so happy to have you on Inspire for that exact reason. You know, you've worked, just looking through your website, etc. You've worked, for over 16 years within North Nottinghamshire, alone, working very much within community education, and transforming essentially thousands of lives in that time as well, due from, right from the back of learning disabilities right through to unemployed. And, there's so many people that, you've touched within your journey. So really, really glad to, have you on here. So Liz Barrett, everyone. So hi, Liz. How are you doing?
Morning, Mark.
How's things?
All right, thank you. I've enjoyed the sunshine at the weekend.
Can't fault you at all. It's been nice, hasn't it, for a change?
Lovely.
No complaints. So Liz, I want to jump straight in really with the award. So when is it that you actually received this award? What year and what was it for?
Okay, I was very fortunate to achieve a Lifetime Achievement Award with the Chad, which is the local newspaper. And that was around 18 months ago. It was a complete surprise. And at the time, I was, completely bowled over with it. And still am, really. It was, I think I was hoodwinked by many people who I'm close to, but a lovely surprise to receive.
Fantastic. And do you know who nominated you? I take it,
It was the team at work, bless them. So, the team at work all conspired together and nominated me.
Brilliant. And when we get to it, I think, people will certainly see why it is that you were nominated in the first place. And I can completely understand why it is that, you won as well. I used to work for the Chad myself, be it in the advertising department, but I used to work really closely with Haroldine Lockwood, and she used to get me involved very much on the events side. And, the community events are a fantastic event to be at, and you get some truly inspirational stories, which is, why you're here today. So tell us a little bit about what led to that Lifetime, Achievement Award.
Well, I guess in part, community is what I love. It's a passion of mine. And I'm a Sutton in Ashfield girl, and I still live in Sutton in Ashfield. And part of my work is through Sutton in Ashfield. And community cohesion, community regeneration, and celebrating communities is how I live my life. And I think lockdown has kind of typified that even further, in watching how the community has pulled together in such a difficult time. And I'm sure many local people can say how coming out to clap on a Thursday evening for our key workers has been a special and empowering time, along with people who've helped neighbours and family and friends shop. So community is what I love, and my day job is lifelong learning in further education, and the two just go really well together. Further education supports the communities, and so it just all blends together.
Fantastic. That's good. I think that's when you found your true passion, isn't it? When everything interlinks and everything works together seamlessly.
Definitely.
So tell me a little bit about your role within education, and then I'll come on to the community side, after.
So I'm a principal of ATTFE College, which is part of a multi-academy trust, and we're based in the North Nottinghamshire area. And we work with learners aged 16 and above, including right up to very good ages. Our oldest learner this year has been 102, and has been studying Tai Chi before lockdown. So
Wow.
it really does show that lifelong learning, spans many different elements.
Absolutely. It does. I'm a big advocate of, continuing to learn. And to be honest, it's got nothing to do with my background at university. I've personally found, personal development very much after university, but massive advocate of it. And I think that, more people should do it, pick up
Absolutely.
books, etc. So tell me a little bit about what lifelong learning means to you.
Well, for example, to get onto this Zoom session today, it took me about 15 minutes. Sometimes I'm quicker, sometimes I'm not. So I know that for me, I've got a skills gap in trying to upskill in IT so that I can make sure I'm swifter at it and more nimble, especially during these working from home times. And that to me is lifelong learning. It's identifying what else you can do to become stronger and better equipped for life. It's about improving the quality of your life, raising aspirations and job opportunities as well. I know with my own career, lifelong learning underpins that and has helped me to achieve what I have achieved. And so it just threads through. I think to think that education would stop at the age of 16 or 18 and people not engage further is quite a sad thought, really, because there's lots of things you can get from lifelong learning. Not just in terms of education, but we have lots of learners who make lifetime friends and form social groups and networks, which is all part of lifelong learning.
Absolutely. And I think, there's a lot of people out there that maybe don't understand that, as soon as you finish sort of formal education, at the end of that period, it doesn't stop, or it doesn't have to stop at all, and you can go on to do, absolutely incredible things if you keep going. So just at the start of your journey within that, I understand that you went to the Open University yourself.
Yes.
What led you to going to the Open University and getting involved within the education sector initially?
Yeah, so I had a health problem in my younger days, and that really impacted significantly upon my life. I missed a bit of schooling because of it, and I was very unwell. But when I got a little bit better, I really wanted to engage in education. So I did a degree with the Open University, and that took 7 years at the time. It feels a light years away now when I look back, but at the time, a 7-year degree was quite a test of resilience. And I guess it's through that I really did learn the value of lifelong learning and those opportunities to be able to study in a flexible way, to be able to study even back then remotely. You used to watch it on TV and work from it. I would imagine it's very different now. But I like learning new things. I like gaining knowledge. I like upskilling and keeping my brain active. So the Open University I'm a great fan of, but also that ability to work and learn in a blended way, I think is also really good. In COVID-19 times, touching back to work, we physically closed our college doors on the 20th of March, but we reopened them virtually on the 23rd of March. And the majority of our learners have gone on to achieve and have contact with their tutors on a day-to-day or a week-by-week basis through this kind of forum, or through having work delivered through the post and then posted back, or telephone calls or messenger groups. So it just shows how you can adapt learning styles in a blended way to achieve lifelong learning.
Absolutely.
It's very portable.
So some of the you've just mentioned there, so you essentially turned around the whole business model within a very short space of time. Within 3 days of closing, you turned that around. What was that transition like, and what essentially very quick skills did you have to develop, to get from A to B?
Well, I think if we'd have had this conversation 6 months ago, and if you'd have said, okay, so Liz, where are you in terms of the college working remotely, and how much of it do your learners do online with tutors? And do you think you could move to, say, a 50% delivery online? I would have been saying things like, well, we don't do much online, and it'd probably take at least 3 years to be able to get 10% online. So we in effect switched. It was like we pressed a switch, and we all had to learn these skills. So tutors have had to learn these skills. Our administrators and data team have had to learn these skills. And more importantly, our learners have had to learn these skills. So we've done that together. We've all had to adapt to our technology. So within further education, we have different tools, and some work better than others. So sometimes there's lots of cursing and swearing by members of the team because the laptop isn't playing ball. And for our learners, there's different accessibility for our learners. So some might not have Wi-Fi in the home, some might be working on a phone. So together we found solutions, and the business model, as you've clearly identified, has transformed overnight. And it's one that we're very grateful has, because during COVID times, we've recruited over £500,000 worth of learners and learning despite not physically operating. So I'm in awe of the team, and I must say everything that I do, it is very much part of a team effort. So going back to the beginning, I was fortunate enough to win that award, but it is a team award, and I do view it as a team award for what we achieved.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant for you to say, you know, and just on the side of sort of turning it round in that 3-day period, and you've got to this point now where you've raised all of this essential, capital with learners that have, come in as well. Is it something that you will maybe look to continue for maybe learners who can't attend a physical place, of study?
Absolutely. So our model moving forward will be blended learning for different reasons. So for one, it essentially, I'm assuming, and we are assuming, that based on what we know at this moment in time, that the less interaction people have with other people, the safer they will be in COVID times. So for us, we're looking for some classes to be done remotely instead of people coming into college, etc. For others, we have a heck of a lot of adult learners, and it may be that their children aren't in school this next year the way in which they would have been before, or timings have changed and so on. So we don't want to miss a minute of learning, and by operating through a blended model such as this, we're hoping we'll be able to capture people. And alongside of this, we've got some bids in to try and raise some funds to be able to support learners accessing IT equipment and Wi-Fi for those that need it. We're also working with Rachel Quinn from D2NT and Martin Wrigley through Discover Ashfield to try and raise the digital profile within the Ashfield an area, and also the same over at the Ollerton area, which is another area that we cover with the college.
Just fantastic work that you do, and I'm so happy that you've said that it's something that you'll continue to do as well, because I think for a lot of people it's not necessarily that they don't want to get involved in further study, lifelong learning, but it's time as well. And if you can almost say, well, you can save all your transport time, you can save all your time and money as well in transport, having to get to a car park, or travel from a bus or wherever it may be. Suddenly saying, actually, it's something that for a portion of a course, you can maybe do this from home. So that's just incredible, like the transition. And I think it's being grateful for COVID in a lot of ways, that it's forced not just yourself, but a lot of businesses and other companies out there into a transition period to say, whoa, hang on, let's just step off this bus at the moment and say what's happening and how can we better this. So that's absolutely brilliant. So tell me a little bit about sort of your community regeneration and
Yeah.
what you're involved in on that side?
Well, I'm fortunate enough to be involved in different groups and organisations, and they all tend to follow things that I'm keen on and committed on in my life. So, for example, I'm part of a healthweight participation group that links to Briley Medical Centre. And with that, we work to support the doctors and the team and offer additional support around health and wellbeing. So it's a bit like being a governor, but for healthcare.
Sure.
I'm an active member of the Rotary, local Rotary Club, and I love what they stand for. So service above self very much resonates with myself. And just different community organisations. I've recently got involved with the Astronomy Society, the Mansfield and Sherwood Astronomy Society, and that's just magical. I learn so much, so it goes back to that lifelong learning. But when they're talking about the stars and the planets, and we're looking at it on the screen, it is a different world that I'm drawn into. And it was Martin Wrigley who got me involved in that. But we're working hard to try and support the team to build and raise funds and build a planetarium, which, if that happens, it would just be brilliant.
Incredible.
So what I do is very much around things that I enjoy and things that feel purposeful and very much within the local community. And it feels as though I'm giving something back to a community that, has a very good heart.
Just absolutely incredible. And I've come across Rotary a few times, and I know that sort of the Rotaries, certainly locally to us, not globally, have struggled for a while to almost recruit, so to speak, new people coming in, especially at the younger end of the ladder as well. Would I be right in saying that? So there's a lot of people,
yeah.
That have masses of experience, but it'd be nice to have almost like a youth gathering coming to that and learning and growing with Rotary as well. I don't know how involved you are in terms of, the Rotary side, but how would you see that changing? How do you think that you could maybe get more younger people involved in coming to something like Rotary and changing their local environment, standing for their own change, essentially?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a tension that we've talked about quite a bit within Rotary. I'm in the Sutton and Ashfield Club, and whilst we get a couple of new members in a year, we probably lose members for different reasons on the other end. So it tends to stay on a balancing scale, which is quite good, because I understand that others don't have that profile. It's just a downward trend for others. But how we can change it has formed part of our discussions for the last few years. Ironically, I think COVID presents another opportunity, because again, we had our last Rotary meeting, physical meeting, and then the week after we went through conference calls, and we've now transformed to use Zoom. Now that offers much more opportunity for people who are younger, who are working, who have families, the ability to Zoom into a Rotary meeting instead of going to a physical place, having a physical meal, etc., might be more appealing. So I'm hopeful that the kind of the way in which life has taken us might provide a catalyst for bringing in new members. And many people during COVID times have acted in a Rotary way. They have done shopping for their neighbours. They have helped other people cut their gardens, etc. So it is about service above self. That people have been very instrumental in supporting local food banks, etc. Again, that's very much a Rotary way. So you just form part of a group. That's the difference.
Yeah, and I think it's that understanding of what community means as well, because I think people feel that it's got to be something that takes a huge amount of time to be able to get involved in. And what would you say to people who are maybe wanting to get involved with, it doesn't have to be Rotary necessarily, but in their local community, to sort of the objection, if you like, to, well, I've not got the time. what would you say?
Yeah, I think time is a difficult thing, isn't it? And energy is a difficult thing as well. And I think it's about balancing both. And it's about being honest with yourself. I know sometimes I get too tired at the end of the day and think, well, you've just had a grueling day. Why have you done that? But also a lot of people, for example, might not realise how much time that perhaps they spend on things like Facebook or watching Coronation Street, etc. So it's about what suits you, and if that's your main driver, then that's great. But if you want to look for opportunities to be involved in the community, then maybe it's worth exploring what you do in your life at the moment, and then having those conversations with yourself to see if it is something you'd like to be involved in.
That's incredible. And I think you've touched on something there, in terms of social platforms, in terms of either soap operas or different TV programs that might not be enriching your life right now, but down to sort of technology. And there's all different phones and analytics on phones now where you can see where you're spending so much of your time. You can almost analyze your life on one device and say, oh, I need to cut back maybe a little bit on that area so that I've got some more time to get involved in either community or taking more of a focus in my own health, through activity or reading or whatever it may be. So absolutely condone that. And it's coming down to almost loving where you live, isn't it? And for you clearly do. It's absolutely incredible what you're doing. So where does that drive come from for you?
I'm not sure, even yesterday I was thinking of that. I've always lived locally, and I very much like the community that I live in. I like what it stands for. I like its history and its heritage, and I like knowing people and them, knowing me, so that when you go to the local shop or you go for a walk down the road, that you have those connections. And the area that I live in, Sutton in Ashfield, it's got a good heart, and I like that. I like that people will help each other, and people will give even if they've not got much to give. So that's a special place. I guess my grandma, she was very much a similar kind of person. So she was a school teacher, and she was on my mind quite a bit yesterday. And so I think there's perhaps some similarities there that kind of just happened and weren't conscious.
Sure, absolutely. How could more people maybe get more of a drive to get more active within the community as well?
Well, within the Ashfield area, there is a Discover Ashfield, and it's through Ashfield District Council, and we are looking for ambassadors around different themes. So I lead on the theme Love Where You Live, and that was something that was asked of me. And at the time I was like, oh, I'm not sure about this, I'm not sure I've got the skills. But actually it is about seeing those opportunities within your community and loving what it does. And we are looking for other people to come on board and help with that, and join the mission to kind of make Ashfield a better place. And that's the same in other communities. I guess it's across the nation right now. We're looking for things to be more positive and more joined up, and communities to help each other.
Very much so, because it's so easy to get involved in the mindset of thinking very negative about things, etc. And I think COVID has given us that opportunity to again step off that bus, give us some more time to think about things and maybe change things for the positive. And seeing things like the community coming back into play, and these different schemes that are coming out through local councils, as well, is absolutely incredible. And I think it's where we do get that community spirit back that I think has definitely been lost over recent years, without a shadow of a doubt. So how can people get involved? How do they reach out to the local council? So Ashfield in particular with Discover Ashfield. How would somebody thinking, actually, that's something that I'd really like to do or find out more, where can they go?
Okay, if you Google Discover Ashfield, it takes you up to the website, and on there there's a button you can click to say you'd be interested in being an ambassador. And then we do run regular ambassador events, and the next one's on the 27th of July.
Fantastic.
And the people who are involved in Discover Ashfield are just great. We've got someone who leads on heritage, someone on health and wellbeing, someone on business. So it is very much town focused.
Very much so. And I take it that you're going to be, not only helping a community, but you end up going to find a new circle of friends almost because of this.
Like-minded people, yeah, absolutely, like-minded people, and it joins things up together. So, for example, during COVID-19 times, I am just talking about Ashfield because that's my home council and space really, but they've been out every day. So Ashfield District Council, they haven't missed a beat. Every dustbin has been collected. There's been no break in service, and they've just done a phenomenal job in the hardest of times. So I'm incredibly proud to be part of Ashfield, and very much in awe of what Ashfield District Council have achieved at all levels in such a difficult time.
Absolutely. Liz, I just want to say thanks so much for having you on. I think, to be honest, that's just, I want to leave it on that positive note. Loving where you live, etc. is just, it's phenomenal. The journey that you've been on, as I say, from having, local girl sort of thing, background of, studying at the Open University to transition, and progress you further within your career to the work that you're doing now locally. I think you're inspirational to everyone. I think it's absolutely incredible. I think Ashfield are so lucky, to have you. And I think, even, into sort of a further area and people that can, thrive off your drive, so to speak, is just great to see. So I look forward to, sort of watching your journey progress even further. That's brilliant. So thank you very much.